How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast that drinks and knows things. This is our epilogue episode for Season 3, Episode 10 of Game of Thrones Mhysa, or our episode title of I Wish I Had an Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Did she say that? Did Abby say that last episode?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the very first, but we never repeated it.
I just don't listen.
No. But today we are talking about Hearts of Stone. Basically, the game of consolidation, removal of Lady Stoneheart from Game of Thrones, and we felt this is the most fitting because this is the most fitting place that she should have returned.
And this is spoiler filled. We have kicked our first time watcher on the wall, Abby, out, and it's just the boys now. So
Yeah.
Ben, Glenn, Luke, we're hanging out talking about Lady Stoneheart being left out.
Sure. Yeah.
She's just feeling left out.
So I'll get my whole thing out.
Yeah, why don't you give your
I'll give my spiel.
Give your whole thing up.
So this episode is titled Mhysa, which we know is translation from a High Valyrian or
Olgiskari.
Olgiskari, thank you, to mother. And so when the people who've read the books saw this title and were thinking, okay, great. So the ending scene with Dany being, crowd surfed by the,
You raise me up.
being crowd surfed by them, or crowd surfing her. We're thinking, okay, they're going to do one quick cutaway scene and we'll see the Brotherhood without banners walking up on a naked Catelyn Stark along the riverbank and just fade to black. They don't even need to mention anything further. That's all they needed to show. They didn't even need to show them waking her up. And we would have been fine, but they didn't. And that's why this scene kind of ruins this whole episode because of the title. The rest of the episode is actually really good. I can't say that. But that ending scene just is so annoying now because I was sitting there waiting. All right, cool. And we have credits.
Like, here's the opportunity to be exactly like the book.
Yeah, and it's not a, far shot story to add in. It's really only one more actress to keep, and it's a fairly easy story to tell. You only show her we've seen the White Walkers, 3 times?
Right.
Maybe 4 in 3 seasons. Do that with Lady Stoneheart. Just a couple scenes here.
Especially after paying off, later seasons when they pay off, the Brotherhood without banners, and basically it's Beric Dondarrion's character that I guess has taken the reins to that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's definitely a missed opportunity. And it's not really even mentioned at all.
Right, I agree. And to me, whenever I was first reading through those books, I read through those books before seeing this episode. So I knew that Lady Stoneheart was a thing. And I was so excited because that was I had Ned beheading spoiled for me in the book. So I knew that was going to happen. It was still obviously a big deal. And I think, I don't remember exactly, but I would guess maybe the Red Wedding too, but I would think I saw that in the show first. But this one, when I got to the epilogue of that book, and I was like, holy shit, that is the coolest fucking thing. This is just happening now? We're just doing this now? And to me, it was okay, because I'm always a bigger fan of the fantasy side of the story than the politics and the warfare, which is, I like it, but to me, I'm more on the fantasy side of it. And so that was holy shit, this is exactly up my alley of what I'm looking for. And it's just completely negated from the story and just neglected and left out over and over. And there have been a lot of really easy places they could have put it back in later on after this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons why they're not doing it, but
no, agreed. I mean, and it's one of those, because even in the books, between this time, because this is, halfway through book 3, but halfway through, Storm of Swords is the Red Wedding. And so we go, 500 pages probably. And then we get the epilogue and, oh yeah, this happened. But in that time, we saw Arya, getting her vision, Nymeria's vision, seeing the dead body and seeing that it was her mother, that Kat's dead. Okay. And now, yeah, we had more confirmation, I guess, even more so in the show than we got in the book for the actual death. I think it was pretty, spot on that.
The death of Catelyn?
Yeah. In the book wise, I'm saying, because she was the first POV character, well, I guess second POV character to get actually killed. of any show, like in their POV. So it's hard to say unless you actually physically see it from somebody else's perspective. And so we get the confirmation from Arya's perspective through Nymeria. Yeah, Kat's dead. So by that point, she's written off. Cool. But then, yeah, the epilogue pops up. And so, yeah, for book readers to this, them cutting her out, it's like, why? I mean, it's an easy story that can definitely help build a lot of the slow parts, especially with Jaime and Brienne, that come up later on, in the show. Like, Brienne just hanging around outside of Winterfell for half a fucking season, waiting on Sansa. You know what? Maybe let her run into Stoneheart for, 4 of those episodes or something like that. To fill up her time a bit. And
just on the same token, seeing that they did something similar with like the Brotherhood Without Banners, like it just kind of sucks that she wasn't kind of in that or whatever, and they kind of went a different direction with the whole thing,
leaving Beric in there, and all that. And
like if they would have cut Beric out, like at this point he wasn't really a big character. Mm-hmm. Like he was just in season 1 as a different guy, and then in this past season as
the fight in the cave and all that
for a couple.
Yeah, 6. Hell, I think Beric actually only 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes. We actually had Beric himself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was a pretty big deal, but at the same time, like just big enough for Stoneheart to come in and take the reins of that. Like we kind of care about Beric, but it's a great sacrificial character to pay for Lady Stoneheart.
Exactly.
And it is a game of consolidation. They don't want to open up that book of going through the Riverlands this early because they put it off until season 6 when it should be like happening now. I mean, we're getting close to middle of season 4 is when like all of the stuff with Edmure and the Freys and River Run should be happening, but they put that off until season 6.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to carry that Lady Stoneheart character in the background and dick with it, where Michelle Fairley, I remember hearing stuff about she didn't want to play a zombie. I don't know how much that really factored into the decisions at all.
Okay.
Or even how true that is. These are things that I've heard, but I don't know. To me, it was one of the more interesting kind of surprises in the story. Yeah. And we never get it.
And then you see Rob getting kind of mocked by the Freys as cutting his head off and then putting the Grey Wind's head on him, mocking him, and then they did the same. They were mocking Catelyn by throwing her into the river, into the drink, as that's kind of like the custom that they funerals
mocking the Tully funeral customs.
Procession, and it's like you saw they did that with Rob, but what about Catelyn?
What about Cat?
What about?
Yeah, and then they actively don't do much else with it, which like just really leaves it open, like perfect for like either like after the credits, even if you wanted to do that, because they've done cold openings like that hard close, like the Marvel after credits kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean that's basically a true epilogue to the season. It's consolidation, and we're starting to feel that axe being dropped on a lot of storylines. And
season 4 they stay fairly true.
True to what? No, we're getting off pretty bad in certain areas here already.
Pretty bad. I'm saying, I give it a 50-50 of true to after Storm of Swords. Once we hit Feast for Crows and Dance of Dragons, it's off the fucking rails. David and Dan were like, you know what? We're going to go our way. And we have the baseline.
It's because they got too far ahead in certain areas and they didn't just fucking wait.
Well, it's hell. Like
they forced some things to happen
Bran and
sooner.
Hodor.
Yeah, they cut them out of 5 altogether.
Right, which made sense. Yeah, because they had to, or else that was running out of storyline. Yeah. But they could have just started dwindling him out. Like now, spacing what we had this season out a little bit.
This could have easily gone well, but the problem is with Sam. They needed to get Sam back to the wall, and so the timing. I mean, I get where they were coming from because it does fall book wise, because you just don't want to have Sam wandering around the north for that. But I'd almost say cut him out of season 4. Because by this point, you're done. Cut him out of season 4, then bring him back in 5. Instead of doing it the ass backwards way that they did of cut him out of 5.
Get to the cave and just dicking around for a year.
Yeah.
I mean.
Exactly. So it's some of the decisions
and then he's just 10 years older.
Right. 3.5 foot taller.
No, I think, eventually, they start to go off the rails a little bit. And then eventually, I think it really hits hard whenever they run out of material, because obviously there's not another book. So there's like a point, and I can't remember what season, maybe like 6, where it's just new stuff almost.
Well, 5 is like all of the
Foreign
Arya.
Yeah.
The
Aryan
she's
wave.
like still fucking over in Bravos, and I mean, 6 too. Six is the worst.
Yeah, 6 is the worst.
With-
5 is
with
where she
Arya,
gets to
and the Wayfinator.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible. Like, it's just awful.
You know, that, and I had something, never mind. But yeah, it's one of those with the consolidation. Yeah, they cut out major plot points and they just skip around but then they add in sending Jamie to Dorne. It's like, Jamie fucking never went to Dorne.
Yeah.
You know, but they needed Jamie to do something instead of going to deal with the Freys. Why, or the Tullys. Let Jamie go deal with the Tullys and have Dorne. You know, hell, if you need to send somebody, send Bronn alone to Dorne. That's a little bit more fitting, you know, than Jamie going. And the only reason they sent Jamie was to have, you know, that one scene with Mhysa. That's it. You know, and it's like, you didn't need that. And so, what I was going to say, yeah, David and Dan, when they're great at adapting. I don't know how good they are at creating.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've seen that consistently.
Right. And now they're like going with, you know, giving parts of the book, like specific character parts to like a character that's already in there, instead of creating a new character and having them on the books or whatever. You're just going to give that part to Sansa or whatever.
And I'm usually fine with consolidating to a character that we know.
Yeah, like the Gendry and Edric Storm.
Perfect. I was totally fine with that, because Gendry doesn't end up doing a whole lot. He hangs out in the Riverlands doing the Blacks, which they were already putting off the Riverland stuff entirely. So yeah, let him fill that. It narratively works.
Yeah.
They're not making any real stretch here.
But so begins SS Abandoned Plotline.
Right. Yeah.
the SS abandoned plotline.
Yeah. They all took the Jojen train to the dock. And I know the one that really just kind of confuses me are these like pointless changes or like pointless omissions. And I'm not saying that the Lady Stoneheart is a pointless. I can see that's just a lot more that they're avoiding.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's like cutting out some of the prophecies.
Like changing Jane Westerling to Talisa Myger. Like, what the fuck is the difference? Like, why not just, I guess it makes it more convoluted because you have to deal with the Westerland side of it. But I feel like it makes it a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Exactly. And then it still leaves...
I guess it gets rid of the family baggage. It's just, here's a girl that wasn't a Frey. They're getting right to that being the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and I get that, but at the same time, it does, you know, because even I thought, okay, well, they're going to turn her into like I said, they're going to turn her into the spy. She's going to be the one, I'm just writing to my mother. And when she makes fun of Rob, I'm actually writing Tywin Lannister right now. I kind of wanted her to actually be writing Tywin Lannister, because to me, it's not been confirmed in the books, but the Westerlings are spies. At least Mother Westerling.
Right, not necessarily Jane, but she was put up to it by Mama Westerling.
By Mama, and she was given the, not Nightshade,
milk, the Tansy tea.
Yeah.
Plan B.
Yeah, the Plan B tea.
Plan B tea. Moon tea.
Thank you. Yeah, moon tea. Right. You know, so, and she didn't realize what she was taking or being given. And so I think, you know, in that aspect, I kind of wanted them to keep that. And again, it's all speculation because we have no confirmation on it, but I wanted there to be more than just Rob got fucked because of his dick. And that's, you know...
He got fucked because of his dick. That sounds like Theon.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, he thought with the little head and stuck with his honor, quote unquote, but I kind of want that their backstory. And it's not, that's a 3-page, 30-second scene you can do. Boom. All explanation. And so, yeah, the game of consolidation, I can live with it. And I remember watching this, and that's what I've been doing this season. Watch it as a show, not as book to show. And so this is the first time I've watched the ending scene of this, episode, and I wasn't like viscerally fucking pissed off because I knew what was coming or knew what wasn't coming. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. And that's why I think I'm being a little softer on Dany now. And I think a lot of my hatred for Dany comes from, it's not even her, it's the way it's portrayed and written up, and just, this scene burning me thinking, okay, we're going to have this, and no, we're going to end on Dany again. This is second season, because she had season 1 where it was ended on her, and season
dragons.
3. And
What
so
was the end of season 2?
Sam
with
the
the
walkers.
Yep.
And
the intro to 3 was the follow up to that, right?
Yeah, season 4 is Arya. I can't remember 5 or 6, but I know the first 2 of 4 is Dany. And so, like, that's where I was starting with, like, really? They're gonna end on this fucking bullshit? And that's, I think, where a lot of my anger comes from. I'm trying to let that go and watch
This has just been Benji therapy.
It really has. I don't hate Catelyn as much. I mean, I still don't like her, but don't hate her as much.
She's also very dead now.
She is very dead, and so she's even better. But not as good as she could have been as Lady Stoneheart. She could have redeemed herself, I guess. Because in the books, Lady Stoneheart redeems Catelyn a bit for me. But it's that's my rant and my rave and everything about it. Anything else we want to talk about on Game of Consolidation? Oh.
Right, Game of Consolidation. I think like definitely the show's done so well that it just seems like Dan and Dave don't get a lot of criticism. And like even what was that one episode we watched with the commentary? And I think it was even George R. Martin himself when they were talking about Talisa, and he's almost like praising them for coming up with her instead of going with what the book had said, and like stuff like that, and like even their portrayal of Shea Stadium, it was just like it's because the show does so good. It's like they don't get a lot of criticism, from high powers.
I mean, and I watched a few interviews with George, and he's like, well, that was a show thing. And this and that, but George, you're right. George won't even call him because he's such a laid back guy that because unlike Tolkien, he said this before. Tolkien made sure you knew how to say every single one of those names and everything was pronounced the exact. He's like, if you want to say Tywin is Tywine, go ahead. Read it however you want. I know how I say it. I know how, and so he's okay with letting. As long as the baseline story's there, he's fine with giving liberties to David and Dan because they proved themselves as fans. Yeah. And they could do it right. And I don't think they've done it wrong, but I think they could have done it better.
Sure.
So if you want to hear more about things that the show has done very wrong in a certain person's perspective who's highly biased in certain ways but has really good points, check out the Dragon Demands. Dragon Demands on YouTube. He's very much not a fan of the show and tears into things that Dave and Dan specifically have changed and goes really, really in depth on why he thinks they've made certain changes. So I'd recommend checking it out. It's worth checking out for sure.
I am pulling them up now and subscribing so I can find them later.
All right. Any final thoughts on Lady Stoneheart not being involved or other consolidations that happened in season 3?
Trying to think of season 3 consolidations. Like I said, we had the Gendry, we have Stoneheart,
Jane Westerling.
Jane Westerling. That's been an ongoing. Nothing else. I like how they kept the Theon storyline alive. I kind of wish they wouldn't have done it. Like I said, I love Ramsay. I love the whole thing, but I do like in the books, he's just radio silence until number 5, and then he pops up as Reek. So I like seeing the torture stuff, but I kind of wouldn't mind seeing just nothing.
Abandoned plot lines.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, abandoned plot line, and because look how much.
But that's also one that people know would have to come back. Like like the way that they would do it. That's how the character's designed. It disappears for a while,
right? And then to build Ramsay up as a villain, I guess.
Yeah,
right. And that's what they're doing now. They're sowing the seeds as Joffrey is on his way out.
Exactly.
Here we know shortly in 2 episodes they have to have already built up Ramsay to really take the reins on being uber number 1 cunt.
Yeah. No, and that's
and he reigns for the next 3 seasons basically.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So final thoughts.
Let's see where we go. I mean,
we're going to go to season 4.
Well, I know. I did sit up last night because I have a free HBO thing on my TV, so I watched like the first 4 episodes just play. But I was like, I'm not intently watching. I'm just had it on, and there were some spots where I'm like, okay.
There are some spots this next season I'm going to be like, I don't remember seeing this.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't watched this portion of the show all that much.
Right.
I started watching season 5 a lot more. And I don't know. There was a couple times in season 3 it was like, what the fuck was that scene? Like, I don't remember, like, real minor stuff.
Yeah, well, I know the whole season, and I'm not going to get into it, but I know it's Arya and Hound, the whole season. I know that one. I know it's all Jon building up to the Battle of the Wall and the Purple Wedding. That's about it. I mean, Sansa scooting off.
All Tyrion stuff.
Just him in a cell for night.
Yeah, well, the mountain, the Viper in the mountain too.
Yeah.
But
That's a big deal.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the Tyrion stuff, he's just sitting in a cell for most of the season.
I meant the stuff around him.
Yeah.
With
The King's Landing stuff.
yeah,
Gotcha.
Oberyn Martell.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, this is where Oberyn comes in.
This is where Oberyn comes in.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
take us out of this.
All right. So, as always, you can find us on Twitter at Know and Drink. Send us a digital raven at knowandrink@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, rate, leave us comments on iTunes and YouTube. And until next time, as always, Abby doesn't know, so she'll just drink.
As always, don't turn your back on the wolf pack.
As always, winter is coming, and so am I.
And as always, stay the fuck imaginary. We love you.
Drink up.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink and I know things.